Well, according to the World Health Organization, there are some 20 million cancer diagnoses every year and nearly 10 million deaths worldwide from cancer. Yet, at the same time, medical advances to combat it are also charging ahead. And we're going to talk more about this with Solange Bougin, who joins me now in the studio. Hi, Solange.
Amy.
So many new findings were presented this week at a conference that was on in Barcelona.
Yeah, the European Society for Medical Oncology, or ESMO, it has concluded its 5-day conference. It was held in Barcelona this year, and it is one of the major global medical conferences with over 30,000 people attending. So it's come actually a long way, considering it started in 1975 with around 100 doctors. Now, it is a key place for researchers and oncologists to present their findings. So some 2,200 studies were presented from September 13th to September 17th. The conference's prominence is, of course, an indicator of how cancer has become a global burden, with 1 in 5 being diagnosed with cancer in their lifetimes. So what were the key takeaways? Well, some of them are incredibly positive, like the effectiveness of immunotherapy before surgery rather than just after surgery. But before we get into all of that, we need to do a quick recap of the kind of results that were presented at the conference's nearly 300 sessions. They are papers, presentations of research, and clinical trial findings. Many of these results are tentative, depending on the kind and the phase of the clinical trial. So to recap the basic research method here, there are traditionally 4 main phases to these trials if all goes well, with a larger number of people in each phase of the trial. A first phase clinical trial asks the question, is this a new treatment or a new drug? Is it safe? And what effect does it have on the body? Also, at what dose? The second phase asks the effectiveness question. Does the treatment work? Does the cancer get smaller or go away? Do people live longer? The third phase compares the tested treatment with others that are already available. It's often here that placebos are sometimes used. Side effects are also watched closely here, as there are often hundreds of people in phase 3 trials. After phase 3, the approval is often sent out towards regulators like the FDA, like the EMA. And then there's phase 4. It comes after the marketing of the drug, when researchers want to find out if there's actually anything else that they need to know about the drug, about its safety long term.
So tell us a bit more about some of the key findings at this year's ESMO.
Well, in regard to breast cancer, which is the #1 cancer among women in France, with 60,000 new cases every year, a number of findings were presented. One study found that women who had cancer and then breastfed, they did not have a higher chance of recurrence, despite hormonal fluctuations that happen when you breastfeed. Another breast cancer one, this one actually could even be applied quickly or even immediately, compared to some of the other clinical trials that are, again, in their early stages. The Institute Gustave Roussy proved scientifically that 15 sessions of radiation at higher doses for just 3 weeks, while they were just as efficient as 25 sessions over 5 weeks. That's potentially huge for women who want to return to their normal lives after treatment. The downside here is that some researchers fear that the hospitals actually will be wary of cutting back and applying these new recommendations. The firm also presented a huge artificial intelligence algorithm, which was trained on billions of images of tumors of some 30,000 patients. And it says that the tech can now trace anomalies that the human eye cannot. Many of the studies were also about immunotherapy, which trains the immune system to fight cancer cells. Now, one study found that if you introduce immunotherapy before surgery, then survival rates will increase on certain breast cancers, bladder cancers, and cervical cancers. In some cases, even immunotherapy even helps save the affected organs, like with certain rectal cancers. Now, the immunotherapy made the cancer, in those cases, the immunotherapy made the cancers vanish entirely, which actually made surgery unnecessary. Such promising results could not only save lives, make recovery easier, but it is also, of course, boosting interest in immunotherapy drugs, new ones, but also ones that are on the market currently, like Merck's Keytruda MSD, which already is the highest selling drug in the world, bringing in some $25 billion in revenue last year.
And Solange, there's long been hope of eventually getting a cancer vaccine. Are we any closer to that at this point?
We are, but we are not there yet. Moderna presented its mRNA cancer vaccine at the conference. But again, this was just a phase 1 trial, so it's still in the is this safe questioning phase. But the company said that there are promising signs that their vaccine did trigger cancer-killing cells, or it may be able to train the immune system to fight a person's immune system to fight those cancer cells in tumors. But again, the number of people tested is quite small, just 19 people. The vaccines were tailored to them specifically. So steady, significant steps, but they are first steps nonetheless towards combating cancer.
Good to hear that there's progress there. Thank you so much for that, Solange Mougin.